This is how I made over $100,000 with the law of attraction. How I manifested $100,000 with law of attraction. And then I lost it all. This is something the manifestation gurus and the guys that talk about all this manifestation don't tell you about. And that is personal finance. This is the story. So I was really into law of attraction and I'm getting back into it. I'm not as big as I was about 10 years ago. And the thing was, I was working as a delivery driver for a pizzeria and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I always knew that I was going to have money and I always wanted to, and I always have been very business oriented. I've always been that way since I was a little kid. I remember collecting trash cans to make $40 a month when I was 12 because I wasn't able to work yet because you had to be 14 at the time to be able to work. And back then, I didn't even know what the law of attraction was. But in reality, it's like the law of attraction, it works 24/7, 365. It's just a lot of people are unaware of it. And a lot of people are very successful at use it every single day. It's all about having a positive mind, having a positive attitude, but being in that state and being on that level of where you want to be. So it's like, I want to make money, right? So I'm like, okay, what can I do to make money when I was younger? And trash cans was what someone told me to do. So I just remember going to the soccer fields every single weekend and collecting trash cans and going to people that I knew and collecting trash cans. So you see how it's like, first I had this thought of, I want more money. And the second thing is someone told me about it. And the third thing is action. At the end of the day, you have to do action, but you have to do inspired action. This wasn't like I was miserable and I hated doing it. This was inspired action. I loved to do it. I loved it because I wanted to work. I had a really good, strong work ethic. I have very good parents. And that's probably where I get my strong work ethic from, is from my parents. So that's how I started. You know, it's like you don't even realize you're doing these things until someone tells you, oh, by the way, the whole time you've been manifesting these things is you've been using this universal law that you don't even realize you have been using. Once I was told about this universal law, I was like, oh, this is very interesting. So you mean I can just like kind of like use my thoughts to create my own reality, which is awesome. If I just think on the frequency, I will attract more things, more people, places, and events that'll put me to where I want to be. But you have to do the action part, and it has to be inspired action. Don't just be like, I want to make $1 million, but I just want to sit on my ass and do nothing all day long. You won't get that, because the people that are on that level of making $1 million and they're on that level of being wealthy, they're not sitting on their ass. They're not. And those people are not going to want to talk to you because they're going to see you as a lazy person and they won't talk to you. Those people are on another level. And if they see that you are very motivated, they'll pick up on that and they'll help you. At the time, I was working at a pizzeria and I knew I was destined for more. I went sober at the time because I had a really bad substance use problem when I was younger. And I was sober at the time and actually used the law of attraction to get sober too. That's a whole other different story. There's an amazing story there too. And I was just like, I just was stuck one day. I was like, I don't want to be here. I love my job. Don't get me wrong. I love the people I work with. Everybody's family. But I was like, I want to make more. I want to do something different with my life. And at that time, I was just at this wall at that point. Then I had an opportunity out of nowhere come up. Because here's the thing, when you want more, something's going to get thrown at you. But you have to be in the receptive mode. And I was in the receptive mode. I'm like, I'll try anything. I don't give a shit. So I had an opportunity to go down to Florida and make a lot of money. And I was like, very, very risky, very risky. I'm going to a different state. I'm in Pennsylvania at the time. I'm going down to Florida. But I do everything for the story though. So I was like, why not? What do I have to lose? I'm working as a pizza delivery driver. So no problem. And I'm going down to Florida. I was making more money than I ever made my entire life. It was like, it was just raining money. I was like, yes, this is awesome. I'm like, just experiencing a whole different type of lifestyle, whole different life. I was around a lot of very successful people. I was around a lot of wealth. I was just having the time of my life. And at one point I was making really good money. Let's just put it that way. I was making over 6 figures. Then what happened is I kind of went off the law of attraction steps. I just kind of like I just went subconscious. I was just so used to doing well financially, and I knew what I needed to do, and I was just doing it. And, I was just doing the action parts, which is what you need to do. But I just went subconscious, and I wasn't really paying attention to things at that point. And, years later, I had a lot of time on my hands. I didn't work a whole lot, and I made a lot of money. Since I was doing that, I was like, okay, so I want to start studying money because I love money, and I don't love money, but I love to learn how money works. And I've always been that way. I like to learn how things work, especially money. So I spent like 8 years studying money, studying the economy, studying all that stuff on my own time. No degrees or anything like that. But the thing was, I got into the doom and gloom. I was studying the negative side of money. I was studying, the deficit and, all the negative things with the economy wise, and about debt, and about, our economy and how it works. All the negative things though about money. I was listening to some really negative people about it. The next thing you know, I woke up one day and I was like, I'm making all this money. I have a lot of successful people around me, but I'm broke. Why is that? Here's the thing. You can manifest all the money you want, but there's one thing I was missing. The missing piece was personal finance. No one told me about personal finance. And then I came across one of my favorite guys I listened to that just really opened my eyes, was Dave Ramsey. So I ran across him, and then everything I thought I knew about money that I studied for 8 years, I listened to him, and instantly I just knew everything I thought I knew about money was just crap. He just shit on everything I thought I knew about money. And I just realized that everything I was taught, everything I was learned, it was just all institutionalized. It was all to make money for the institutions, for the banks, and most of the stuff is just the matrix, right? And then I found out that I was using a lot of debt, and I was using consumer debt, because I was like, I ran in this thing like, oh, I can just go into a dealership and get a car, but get payments on this car and just utilize debt and get whatever the hell I want. And I wasn't educated on that. You'd think I was educated on that, but I was listening to the wrong stuff. And then once I realized that my problem was debt, because I made all this money and now I can get all these, I made all this money and then I can get approved for all these loans, I started getting in consumer debt, and that screwed me. And that was not good. And one day I sat back and I was like, I'm broke. What's going on here? I'm broke. I'm making all this money, and I'm worse off now than when I was a busboy when I was 14 years old. I had more money saved then when I was 14 years old as a busboy, saving up tips, than I was making 10 times what I was making when I was 14 years old. That slapped me in the face. The reason why I got in that mindset and why I manifested being broke is it was the stuff I was consuming. I was listening to a bunch of negative things. I had a subconscious mind program. That's why I was spending more money than I made. Like, I didn't realize that. Like, it's so simple. Spend less than you make, right? Spend less than you make. If you make $100,000 a year, if you spend $100,000 a year, you're going to be broke. But it's so simple, but I didn't think about that. And a lot of us don't think about that because everything's subconscious. And a lot of the times I was spending money because, if you're depressed, if you're anxious, every time you spend money, you get a dopamine hit. And people don't tell you this stuff. You're not taught about this. You don't go to school. They don't teach you this stuff. Money, for the most part, isn't mathematical. It's behavior-based. And you have institutions that are teaching you to go into debt. You have to go into debt. You can't afford to pay cash for everything, so you have to go into debt. Well, guess who makes all the money off that? The banks. The banks are making all the money off you. So you're sitting here, having all these institutional people tell you this, and then your accountant, and then your CPA, and all these other people are telling you go into debt. You're like, oh, debt's a good thing, right? No, it's not. Because now you're utilizing debt to buy things that you can't afford. If you can't afford to buy something cash, you can't afford to buy it, period. And then you're going to be a slave to that lender. I say escape the matrix. Debt is a matrix. Debt is a new matrix. Debt is the new slavery. And that's how they keep you all enslaved right now, is through debt, and telling you that you are broke and telling you that you have to go into debt to be able to purchase things. And the thing they don't tell you about the law of attraction and manifesting money is they don't talk to you about personal finance. They don't tell you about going on a budget. They don't tell you that if you make $100,000 a year and you spend $100,000 a year, you're broke. They don't tell you that you're spending a lot on stuff you actually don't need. They don't tell you that every time you spend money, you're getting a dopamine hit. They don't tell you that when you use a credit card, you spend 12 to 15% more than when you use a debit card. So when you're getting 2% cash back on those credit cards, you're actually spending 12 to 15% to get more using a credit card to get 2% cash back. And these credit card companies do 10,000 experiments every single year on your mind and how to get you to spend more money. And every time you see a reward, every time you see that you made more money on money that you spend, you get a dopamine hit. Everything is a giant dopamine hit to get you to spend more and more and more and more money. But you can break free from that, because once you're aware of that, you can break that. You break it the second you're aware of it. Everything is unconscious until you are aware of it. Remember, when you are wanting to manifest money, look into personal finance. Listen to people like me. I will help you. I will guide you through when you earn a lot of money, how you can keep that money, how you can grow that money, and how you don't have to worry about, hey, let's say you make, because here's the thing, you can win the lottery for $1 million. And I guarantee you, if you are not aware of these things, you're going to be broke in a couple months or in a year. It's going to be guaranteed almost. Because if you don't know about this stuff and you have a lot of subconscious behaviors and you think that going and buying a brand new car or going and buying a brand new house is going to make you feel better, it might make you feel better in the meantime. And I'm not against anybody having a lot of money and going and buying that dope ass house and buying that awesome car. But in order to buy something like that, you got to have a ridiculous amount of money to get that. So now if you have that ridiculous amount of money, you make that ridiculous amount of money, then hell yeah, go and do that. But there are certain things and certain amounts of money that you need in order to go and buy a car cash in a house, for instance, where if you won a lottery for $1 million, you can only spend so much, and then you invest the rest, and then you'll be well off and better versus getting that, not having a plan, and just spending it all and being broke and being in a way worse off position than you were when you got that $1 million. Because everything is a program and everything is your subconscious mind. And once you listen to people like me and I bring out that subconscious and I make you more aware of it, then you can change your life and you can change your finances and you can be like, wow, now I'm aware. Now I'm out of the matrix. I am out of this matrix. I can do anything I want and I don't have to worry about my finances because Jeremy's helping me out right now. And I am aware of, every single time I spend money, there's a dopamine hit. Every time I want to go spend money, do I ask myself, why am I spending this money? Am I depressed? Am I anxious? Am I going through a lot? And once you start realizing that and you start being more aware and more conscious, then you'll be more aware of your money and you won't overspend when you're in the mood to spend. I want you guys to comment below your biggest money challenge, the biggest challenge you have with money, and also ask me, and also comment below videos you'd like me to do that can help you with that, or help you with anything financially or manifesting that you'd like me to talk about, because I'm here to help you. I am here to help you. I'm here to help you because I don't want you to make the mistakes I made. I know we have to make our mistakes too. Like, that's reality. We have to make our mistakes. And if we don't make these mistakes, we won't learn. But let me help you make less mistakes than I made so I can put you in a better position. And I also have a Patreon channel. And when I do videos like this, I usually do one similar on Patreon, but I go a lot more in depth on that. So if you guys go to my Patreon, Luxona with 3 A's, and subscribe, it's $10 a month. I think you guys really appreciate that. I can build a community for you guys. I can give you way more in-depth, better education for you guys on my Patreon. Thank you guys again for watching this video. And again, welcome back to Luxona, where millionaires are made.